2x is a term. 4y is a term. 3x is a term. Okay, if we look at these three terms here, what do they mean? 2x just means 2 times x. 4y means 4 times y. 3x means 3 times x. 3x is equal to 6. 3x, that term simply means 3 times x, equals 6. 3 times x is same as x times 3. So this 3 times, we have to get rid of it. We have to find the opposite of times 3. And the opposite is divide by 3. So we can divide all of this by 3. And this divide by 3 is the opposite of times 3. But whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other side. So since you did divide by 3 on your left, you must divide by 3 on your right. 6 divided by 3 is 2, because 2 times 3 is equal to 6. On this side, since 3 times plus divide by 3 cancel out, only x is left. X is equal to 2. What you might want to do as a test is then you substitute, or you put the value of x, which is 2, into the equation. So 3 times x becomes 3 times 2 equal to 6. So this initial equation, you are now putting this number where every x is. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. And because this looks correct, this answer, x is equal to 2, is the correct. Okay, let's try this very simple one. 3 minus 2x is equal to 1. Instead of taking this 3 over to this side, you can also take this minus 2x onto the other side. When you take it over onto the other side of the equal sign, it becomes plus 2x. As soon as you cross the equals sign, it changes to the opposite function. So if here it's minus 2x, it becomes a positive operation, plus 2x on the other side. Okay, so let's do that. 3, so now you have only 3 on this side, is equal to 1 plus 2x, because 2x has gone to the other side of the equal sign. Now we want to get this 1 over to this side, and it will change sign. So 3 over here, it's plus 1, so it becomes minus 1 is equal to 2x. Now we still have 2x there. We need to get x by itself. So 2x is the same as x times 2. 2 times x, x times 2. So times 2, what is the opposite of times 2? Is divide by 2. So divide by 2. Okay? Right. So let's do that on the next line. 3 minus 1 is equal to 2, so we'll have 2 there. Then we have 2 times x here, 2x, same thing as 2 times x. Now we'll divide it both by 2. Same thing on both sides, in order that this equal still be true. In order that this equal sign remain true, remain correct, then what you do on the left side, you must also do on the right side. So divide by 2 on both sides. This divide by 2 cancels out the times 2. So you have x on this right side, and on the left, 2 over 2 is the same as 1. Any number over itself is equal to 1. 1 million over 1 million equals 1. 3,000 over 3,000 equals 1. 2 over 2 is equal to 1. 1 over 1 is equal to 1. 3 over 3 is equal to 1. Right, so 1 is equal to x is exactly the same thing as x equal to 1. Right, and if you substitute, if you test and put this value of x equal to 1 back into the original equation, so you would do, so let's do the test here on the side. 3 minus 2 times, see, 2 times x, so 2 times 1 equals 1. 3 minus 2 times 1 is equal to 2. 3 minus 2 is equal to 1. And yes, and that's correct. 3 minus 2 is equal to 1. So this means that this value that you did that you solved for, you found the value of x is equal to 1, it's correct, because when you do the test, when you substitute the value of new value of x that you found, you put it into the original equation, you get a result which is true. Therefore, this answer is correct. When you have an equation, for example, 1 plus b is equal to 2, you can do anything on the left as long as you do it of the right to the right of the equation. So you can divide by, you can add, you can subtract, you can multiply by. Usually when we have an equation, we're trying to isolate the variable. In this example, the variable is b. If you try to isolate b, you will try to get this 1 over to the other side, or cancel it from this side, in which case it also ends up on the other side in some way. So whatever you do, you are trying to take an action that takes a term, a number, anything off one side and takes it to the other side. Now, in the past I've shown you that you can do the opposite function on the same side, and that will cancel it from one side. But remember, when you're doing that opposite function or operation on one side, you're also doing it to the other side. So at the end of the day, you are still taking that term or that number, you are taking it to the other side of the equation, to the other side of the equal sign, and changing the sign as you do so. Whether you choose to think of it as cancelling on one side or just straight transferring to the other side, it is exactly the same thing. Just how you will show it on the page as part of your working will be different. Okay, so in this example, the 1, you'd take it to the other side, so you'd be left with b on this side. The 2 is still on the other side. The 1, which was plus 1 on this side, it becomes minus 1 on this side. And if you simplify it further on the next line, 2 minus 1 is equal to 1. B is equal to 1, right? 3 minus B is equal to 1. This minus B I can take over to the other side to become plus B. So 3 minus B's disappeared now. It's gone to the other side. 1 plus B. And then now we move this 1 and take it over to this side. It becomes minus 1 on this side. So let's rewrite it again. 3 minus 1 is equal to B, which means 2 is equal to B, which is the same as B is equal to 2. Okay, if we were to test, the test would be we put the new value of B, which is 2, into the initial equation. So what was the equation? 3 minus B is equal to 1. So we put the 2 where the B is. 3 minus 2 is equal to 1. Does that look correct to you? 3 minus 2 is equal to 1? Yes. Therefore, this answer is correct. B is equal to 2. L equals what? Where x is equal to 2. The first thing you do in an equation is that you must sort out what happens in the bracket. So put the value of x, which is 2, into the bracket. So what do you have there is 2, 3 plus, and where the x is, you put the 2, right? Then is equal to something which we're trying to find out. Now, what is the value inside the bracket? This is what you must sort out first. So 2 times what's in the bracket? 3 plus 2 is 5. Is equal to what? And just like I said, 3 times x is similar, 2 times x is similar to 2 times whatever's in the bracket. This then is 2 times 5, right? Which is equal to 10. Ten minus x, and in brackets you have 1 plus 2. Is equal to 1. It's a very simple example. Now, all this time we've been showing you x, the variable staying on one side, and you not moving the variable over to the other side because you're trying to keep the variable on the same side and isolate it on that side. But just as you move any other number, like you could move this 10, you can also move this x over to the other side. But you have to be careful how you move it and what it's attached to. If you look at this and we simplify it, so you have 10 minus x. Okay, what is in the brackets? What is in the bracket is what you do first. So brackets always come first. You do what's in the bracket if you can. 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. So you simplify it, right? So put it in there. So it's sitting inside the bracket. Equal 1. Okay. Now instead of taking the 10 over to the other side, so 1 minus 10, that might be confusing for some because the answer to that will be a minus number. You can also take to the other side minus x times 3, because x right up against brackets like that, whatever's in the brackets, means you're multiplying the x with anything that's in the bracket after you've simplified what's in the bracket. So you've simplified it, it's become 3. So now this means that this x here is multiplied with this, multiplied by 3. So it's 3x, right? So it's minus 3x here. You can take it over to the other side, right? And when you take it over to the other side, on the other side of the equal sign, it changes sign. So it's minus on this side. When it goes to the other side, it becomes positive. Now this is exactly the same result as if you plus 3x on this side and you plus 3x on this side, which is what we have been discussing all this time. So minus 3x plus 3x, which would mean that these two things cancel each other out. And then you have 3x on the other side. Can you see? It's the exact same result. So instead of putting plus 3x on both sides, I just took the minus x multiplied by 3, which is minus 3x. I just took it over the equal sign onto the other side, and it became plus 3x. Okay, let's move it to the next line where we simplify things further. So now we have only 10 on the left, and on the right we have 1 plus 3x. Now we take this 1 here, this plus 1 here, and we take it over this side where it becomes minus 1. So on the left you now have 9. 10 minus 1 is 9, equals 3x. Sorry, x is not very neat. 3x. What do we do as our next step? This 3x means 3 times x. So we find the opposite of 3 times x, opposite of times 3. So this is times 3, x times 3. You do divide by 3, right? So the times 3 that's happening on the top is going to be cancelled out by the divide by 3 that you put in on the bottom, right? So that 3 cancels out this 3 on the bottom. After you do the same thing on the other side, divide by 3, you're left with 3, because 9 divided by 3 is 3. In other words, 3 times 3 is equal to 9. So here you have 3 as the answer, as the result of 9 divided by 3 equals x, because that's all you have on the top there, x, after the 2 3's have cancelled each other out. The times 3 and the divide by 3 on the bottom. And 3 equals x is the same thing as x equals 3. Okay.